guys, welcome to my review of Blob for the Wii. Alright, one thing I want to start off by saying in this review is that if you're anyone who doesn't like exploration in games, you're going to blow through this game in no time flat, and then you're going to be bored. So you're going to find you're not going to get much out of this game if you're not someone who likes to explore, and really that's one thing that you guys aren't going to like about the game. So basically the storyline of the game is this. Basically, you know, there's this colorful town called Chroma City. And basically these guys called the Ink Corporation come in and they steal the color from the world. And as a colorful blob named Blob, it's your job to stop them and restore color to Chroma City. It's a pretty thin and simple story, but hey, it works. And a game like this doesn't really need much of a story to carry it along. First off, you've got all these modes right here. First is story, which I'll get into in a minute. Free paint is basically, if you're familiar with, like, you know, it's just kind of like a Tony Hawk style, I guess that's the best way to put it. It's the way Sonic did put it. That's the way I'm going to put it. Just kind of a free roaming, do whatever you want kind of mode where you can just go around the city painting as you please. It's actually really fun. Blob Party is the multiplayer mode where you have a variety of options. Actually, I can't go into it. I don't have multiple remotes on. But there's 3 different game types across various maps. The first one is basically kind of like a whoever can paint the most in a certain amount of time challenge. And, you know, the other, one of them's kind of like only one person can paint, and the other 2 people have to track him down and attack him to steal the paint, and it's whoever can paint the most. And then there's another one, called Blob Race, which I don't exactly remember what that one was. It was the worst of all the modes by any means. Blob on the Run, though, was really fun, and I had a few friends over yesterday, and we played it non-stop, so that's definitely the mode to check out. Options, you have audio volume options, control camera speed, invert the camera, and gameplay options. Extras, you basically have cutscenes from the game. Yeah, pretty basic. Movies is basically like pre-production trailers, which I haven't unlocked any yet, because I actually haven't beaten the entire game. Galleries is basically like art galleries of, you know, concept art and stuff like that. Awards is basically like different accomplishments that you've gotten for each of the levels. You know, the percentage of the level painted, challenges completed, time limit. Well, you do have a time limit, but I'll get into that later. The number of styles, which are these little tokens that are scattered throughout the world that you have to collect. The number of trees that you've painted. The blimp, basically in each stage there's one blimp hovering above the stage, and if you paint it, you get this award. Ragians, which are basically these little guys that are trapped in each block or avenue of the world, and when you paint that whole block or avenue, you'll be able to color them back and get them back on your side, and that's basically if you've gotten all of them. Transforms are basically these little orb things that you get after getting a certain amount of score, and they basically turn an area of the world back to how it used to be, like, permanently. Billboards are basically like, there's billboards scattered throughout the world that you have to paint, and this is basically if you've gotten all of them. And landmarks is another thing that's scattered throughout the world, and you basically have to paint them as well. And they're a little bit different. I'll explain that when I actually get into the game. But let's just go ahead and go to story mode. So basically you have a wide array of levels here. There's more that I haven't unlocked. I believe there's 4 more that I haven't unlocked, so that's about 9 levels, I believe. 9 or 10 levels. And within each level there's a main level, this one, and then there's 2 bonus levels, which, like, here's one of them. They're usually a lot shorter. As you can see, this one I have 33 minutes it took me to complete, but this one only was a minute, and I got 100% on it. So these are little mini challenges that either requires painting something in a certain amount of time, or beat a certain amount of enemies, or something like that. Let's just go to the first level just to show you how the game works. Basically, when you go into a level here, you have the mood, which is basically the music that plays in the background. And what was my favorite? Yeah, we'll just do Unstoppable, because, I mean, it's called Unstoppable. Yeah, and basically after the cutscenes, you have these little loading screens, and the game only loads once per level, which is very nice. It doesn't have to load the other sections. And there's little interactive, you know, comic book kind of strip things that kind of flesh out the story a little bit, but it's not much. The story in this game is paper thin, and you're not gonna really care too much about what happens. A game like this doesn't really need a story. And basically, this is the leader of your little group of people that's trying to bring back the color to the world, called the Color Underground. It consists of this guy, which gives you missions. No, I'll explain the missions in a sec here. He's giving you tutorial stuff. Got it. Alright. Basically, these little color tube things right here are little enemies by the Ink Corporation that have captured color. And basically, you have to smash them to get the color. And basically, you turn the color that they were. Basically, you paint things just by running into them. And as you paint, another really cool thing about this game is, depending on what color you are, it plays a different instrument along with your painting, which I thought was really cool. This is one of those transform orbs I was talking about. It restores the world to its normal, order. And basically, you see that fist thing over there? Basically, oh, this will be a good time to explain the controls. The analog stick moves you around, as you could probably expect. D-pad rotates the camera, but that doesn't really come into play since the camera moves automatically, and it works really well. C centers it around the back of you. Z helps you target onto things, but I have nothing to target onto right now. And a downward flick makes you jump, which it works well most of the time. It does feel very fluid and good too. But I really think they could have either mapped it. They could have mapped it to a button, and it would have worked a lot better. But it is still fun, and it's not that big of a complaint. And really, that's as far as the controls go. They're simple, and it works. And this fist right here is basically the challenges. Different color fists represent different color challenges. Basically, the blue ones are zip, and they're like these race missions where he sets out kind of checkpoint markers for you to get to, and you just have to get to the end of the checkpoint markers. The green one up here, I'll explain when I get to it. They're by Artie, and basically her missions consist of painting certain buildings certain colors. So yeah. And we actually have to do this mission. And when you do her missions, the buildings will glow the color that you're supposed to paint them, which is very nice. It helps relieve a lot of confusion, and you don't have to remember, too much. And when it gets back to the main screen here, up in the upper left corner there is your time left, and after you complete missions, you get more time added, and after you defeat enemies, you get more time added. So there's lots of time to get added. I find it really hard to run out of time in this game. I beat most of the levels with after having gone and done a lot of the stuff. Here are the radians that you have to save, by the way, like I was mentioning earlier. Basically, I never ran out of time, really. I finished most levels after having done most of the level with, like, about a good half hour left, if not more. And also, when you run into, they're like kind of a grayish brown hand, that'll be the chief of this Color Underground, and he gives you missions that are restoring the landmarks, which is like I was mentioning in the missions. And like here, I'm red, and if you remember like your old primary colors, these canisters only have red, blue, and yellow, which is the primary colors. But if you lock onto another one that isn't the color that you have, and if you remember it, matching up with mixing with red, you remember that yellow and red mixed to make orange. So you can do that. You can make red and blue to make purple, and basically any color combination that isn't that will give you. And blue and yellow will give you green. And if you mix too many colors, you'll get brown. And there's these water markers that look like these guys, but it looks like water. And that will completely drain your color, and you can just get another color. And the Ink Corporation guys, basically all they do to harm you is they turn you black, and your paint points down in the lower right corner will slowly go down to 0, and when that goes down to 0, you die. But if you make it go down to 0 on your own, you don't die. Only when you're covered in ink. That's really the only way to die in this game. And yeah, that's really all there is to say about this game. Really, it's a fantastic game that anyone with a Wii should try out. Again, like I said, unless you're not a fan of exploration and taking your time to do things, otherwise you're going to rush through this game and you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. But if do yourself a favor and play this game, and if you're skeptical about it, rent it. And actually, I rented this game, but I think I'm gonna go buy it. And really, I think you should support more third-party efforts like this. This was made by THQ, which usually makes bad movie games, but they did a fantastic job with this game, and we definitely should support more third-party efforts like this. So yeah, that does it for this review of Blob. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.